Hey guys, it's me, Mario. Today we're going to continue Sting, the Scorpion Man. Chapter 9, Trapped. How you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. I sure am. And let's read this. Tom gripped his sword tightly, ready to fight, as the rest of the Scorpion Man's body smashed through the wall. How could he have forgotten? Melville had sent Sting to guard Arcta. There was no way that he would let Tom free and the mountain giant without a fight. Fixing his gaze on Tom, Sting scuttled across the chamber towards him. He raised his pincers and clashed them together. The ghastly sound echoing around the rough stone walls. At last, Sting said in a voice that no longer held any trace of the boy's death. I will have revenge for all that you have cost me. Tom knew he had to find some extra strength to fight Melville's last beast. Everything depended on it. He sprung from the edge of the tomb and tumbled through the air, landing squarely on Sting's back. With a roar, the beast thrashed his tail, and the purple jewel hat at the end of it just missed Tom's eye. With lightning speed, Sting spun around. Caught off balance, Tom fell to the ground. He pulled his shield from his back and flung it over his head, as a giant pincer sliced towards him. The pincer bit into the edge of the sturdy wooden shield as if it were made of butter. Over here, Sting, Elenna yelled, distracting the beast as she drew back her bow and aimed an arrow. Leave us, girl, Sting said, roughly. This is not your battle. If your battle is with Tom, then it's with me, Elenna retorted, releasing her arrow. It hit the beast's stomach, but his skin was like armor, and the arrow bounced off, falling to the ground. Sting roared in annoyance and turned to Elenna. Tom staggered to his feet, eager to protect his friend, but Silver caught there first, racing in to bite at Sting's scaly legs. Stormmorsel cantered forwards and reared up, lashing out at the beast with his hooves. Sting snapped his pincers like scissors, slicing at Storm's mane. Tom felt a surge of pride as he saw his friends bravely fight the beast. At the same moment, he heard a rattling sound from the tomb. Arcta was struggling against the second silver chain. His strength was returning. Tom gripped his sword tightly. He knew he needed to deal with Sting before he could free the good beast. Tom called the Storm and Silver away from the Scorpion Man, while Elenna let loose another arrow. This time it embedded itself in Sting's neck, which was still soft and human. With a screech of pain, Sting flung his hand to the to the arrow and tried to pull it out. It gave Tom the chance he had been looking for. Here's Sting with an arrow embedded in his neck. He raised his sword and charged forwards, ready to strike at Sting's heart. But Tom wasn't prepared for the beast's powerful tail. It flew towards him like lightning. Tom just managed to avoid being crushed by its weight. But the jewel at the tail's tip cut deep into his cheek. Tom could feel the warm blood trickling down his face. He looked up to see Sting's tail coming towards him. With a surge of anger, he whirled his sword and swung it upwards, slicing the tip of the tail clean off. Sting screamed in pain at the sound of shaking the walls. The tip of his tail flew across the chamber and hit the floor in a spurt of black blood. The purple gem came loose from its setting, rolling across the chamber floor towards Elenna. She bent down and snatched it up right away. Sharing a triumphant glance with Tom, they had the final jewel. Tom could hear Arcta still struggling to free himself from the second silver chain. As Sting turned to Elenna, mad with pain, Tom tried to get past the beast's injured tail. But even without its tip, it was still powerful and knocked him to his knees every time. Suddenly there was a crash from the tomb. Tom whirled around. "Arcta!" he shouted joyfully. "You're free!" The mountain giant had managed to pull himself away from the second chain. With a roof-shaking roar, he climbed to his feet and pounded on his chest. The chamber walls trembled and fragmented. Off rock cascaded from the ceiling as Arcta's head brushed the roof. The giant roared again, kicking away one side of his tomb, which fell to the floor with a mighty crash. The foundations of the chamber shuddered, and part of a wall crumbled into a heap. The movement of Arcta's huge bulk was putting a massive strain on the catacombs. The whole place looked and sounded as if it were about to crash down on top of them. Sting backed away from Elenna with a snarl, his eyes flickering around the disintegrating chamber before he turned and scuttled down the tunnel towards the trapdoor. Arcta bellowed loudly. Raising his arms, Tom could feel the good beast's wild delight at being free. More rocks began to fall to the ground. "There's no time to lose," Tom called to Elenna. "We have to follow Sting and get out of these tunnels before everything collapses." Narrowly avoiding a shard of rock that speared into the ground beside him, Tom gasped a handful of Storm's mane and pulled himself into the saddle. Elenna jumped up behind him. They began to gallop through the tunnel after Sting. Arcta lumbered after them, with Silver running alongside him. Straining every muscle, Tom guided Storm between the crashing boulders that fell like giant black hailstones. Tom smashed to the ground, spilling their bones into Storm's path. Grimly, Tom pushed on up the steep passageway. In the flickering light, he could see pools of sticky black scorpion blood on the ground. Tom knew that they had to catch Sting before he got to the trapdoor. He had no doubt that the beast planned to leave them trapped in the catacomb, in the collapsing chambers. Tom reminded himself that Sting had lost a lot of blood and would be getting weaker. There was still time to stop him. The tunnel began leveling out, and ahead, Tom could see Sting scuttling up the great stone steps towards the trapdoor. With what little strength he had left, the beast heaved open the hatch and pulled himself out of the hole. Tom leaped off Storm and sprung forwards. But he was too late. With a surrounding thud, the scorpion man slammed the trapdoor shut. The torches that lit the catacombs sputtered in the drought and went out. Arcta, Tom and Elenna, Storm and Silver were plunged into shaking, rumbling darkness. And that was chapter 9. Trapped. That fight ended quickly. Sting lost all his confidence when his tail was chopped off for some odd reason. Kinda weird. But kinda makes sense since scorpions don't really have a will to live once their tail is chopped off. Not that I have any experiences with that, but I'm gonna stop talking now. And I hope you like my read through this chapter of Beast Quest. And I hope you will join me next time in chapter 10, Purple Mist. And I believe next Thursday is the last chapter of Beast Quest. Well, of this series, I still have like the 4th and 5th series ready to go. I read those off camera. Like the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd series. Well, I hope you like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you guys are interested in more Beast Quest videos. I never know what to do in these outros, so I'm just gonna end the video here. Bye-bye.